Greetings, everybody. This is Rob Neuenschwander. I'm a principal architect with Mindset Consulting, and today I'm pleased to talk you through turbocharging your business with SAP data, which is a guide to event and API enabling your SAP system. Well, okay, I'm gonna need to stop and do that one over. Why is it not forwarding? Interesting. Okay. Greetings, everybody. My name is Rob Neuenschwander. I'm a principal architect with Mindset Consulting. I'm happy to be here today to talk about turbocharging your business with SAP data, which is a guide to event and API enabling your SAP system. I've been with Mindset for a little over 2 years now, and am been working through a variety of different roles with my colleagues and our clients, working in business transformation and strategy consulting, as well as doing a lot of work with integration, agile product methodologies, DevOps, and the like. And I'm really delighted to present these pieces of information and learnings today. So it's good to start with some basic definitions so that we're on the same page and understanding of these concepts. An API, which stands for Application Programming Interface, is essentially a set of rules and protocols that allows different software applications to communicate and interact with one another. It defines the methods and data formats that applications can use to request and exchange information that enables them to work together seamlessly. As you can see, there's a depiction here on the screen. A common metaphor that's used is that of a waiter being the API. And so a waiter will present a menu to a customer, which indicates all the things that the customer is able to order at that particular establishment. And they might be different drinks and food options and appetizers, et cetera. So the customer then determines what it is that they would like and makes that order of the waiter. The waiter then takes that order to the kitchen and gives it to the chef who prepares the food that the customer has requested. Once that food is prepared, the chef then gives the food back to the waiter, who takes it from the kitchen and delivers it to the table, so that makes the customer happy with what they selected. This is very much the same as how an API acts, and this is really the traditional request response type of APIs. There are other types, which I will talk about a bit in this presentation, but this is essentially how it works. And so your end user is working with an application. That application makes a request from the API's options, which are essentially the same things as menu options. And then that delivers that request to the server backend system, which then reacts to the request, prepares the data and service that has been requested, and then sends the response back to the consumer. And that gets displayed in the end user's application, usually on a browser. So this is an API. It generally acts as an intermediary that allows one software component to access the functions and data of another system. When we talk about APIs, it's also good to keep in mind that there's different types of APIs. And four very common types, as displayed here on the screen, are public, partner, internal, and composite. So public APIs provide public access to an organization's data, its functionality, or the services that it provides, which then enables third-party developers to integrate those services and that data into their own applications. Some public APIs are available for free. Others are offered as billable products. And so for instance, an e-commerce application might incorporate a public payment API, such as one called Stripe, that handles payment processing. That way they don't have to build that functionality into their own implementation and their own application. They just call out to use that service when it's needed for their application. Private APIs, those are also known as internal APIs, are used to connect the different software components within a single organization. So these are not generally available or intended for third-party use. So for instance, a social media application might have a private API that handles the login workflow. Another private API that handles the feeds and the data that's being sent to the subscriber. And then another private API that facilitates communication between the users, between different users, so messaging. Those applications are all included within the kind of the covers of that public-facing application. And there oftentimes are dozens or even hundreds of private APIs within any particular application. Partner APIs are APIs that enable two or more companies to share data or share functionality in order to collaborate on a project. These APIs are not available to the general public, and therefore they require some type of authentication mechanism so that someone can log in and validate their identity to ensure that they're only used by authorized partners. And finally, composite APIs are APIs that use one or more of these different types of APIs together, and then they string those together, and they may do things like filtering data or enriching data or making other transformations of the data, and then passing that on to the consumer. So composite APIs could be any one of these formats, but they generally consist of a combination of all of these in one calling string. As opposed to an event-driven or a request response architecture, an event-driven architecture, the flow of the program is determined by events that occur within a system. So the system is built to recognize and respond to events, which are typically some type of significant occurrence or changes in the system state. So on the left, these producers are the sources of the events that trigger the action. So these could be user interactions with a user interface or with an application. They could be sensor outputs in a manufacturing facility or out in the field in logistics. They could be messages from other systems that arrive and trigger action, or they could be just changes in data. When these producers broadcast a change in the data, those changes are then handled by a channel a broker, which has different channels of data that it will push those changes into. When it occurs, the processes or the set of processes can then be taken into and consumed by these consuming applications. And so there's these brokers can be event handlers, and then they would subsequently either send a message or create some type of consumption by the downstream system that then takes the data associated with that event and then consumes it and does something interesting with it. So these two are both very common types of exposing of data and services in the field. Let's take a quick look at how these work within SAP systems. So for years, SAP has had a platform and has been a platform that exposed APIs for consumers to access. These APIs are used in countless integrations that exist today by customers with other enterprise systems. And as you can see along the outer ring, these systems are pretty broad and varied in terms of how they interact. So you've got SAP applications, which could be S4 applications, or it could be things like Fieldglass or Concur or other ECC systems. You can have custom apps that have been built by companies to provide specific capability for that company and run on either on the company's own hardware on premise or in a cloud system. They could be third-party applications that are either business partners or applications like I talked about with Stripe that provide particular capabilities that can be leveraged via API. They could be software as a service applications or mobile applications or microservices. And these applications can be hosted by governments or trading partners, and they can come with event streams or data hubs. They can be produced by Internet of Things platforms and AI platforms and automation platforms. There's any variety of things, as you can see, and it's a very vast population of sources as well as targets for the data that come into APIs. SAP in S4 has really expanded the number of APIs that it makes available, and that you can take advantage of natively using SAP Integration Suite, which is a component of BTP, their business technology platform. Listed in the middle, you can see the various specific offerings of SAP Integration Suite. So there's a cloud integration connector, there's API management capabilities, there's an integration assessment tool set and set of guidance. There's Event Mesh, which is gets into the event management capabilities I just described previously. They have open connectors to other platforms and hyperscalers that enable you to easily access APIs that are present there. They have trading partner management, which enables EDI and some very industry-specific capabilities for B2B connections. And Integration Advisor, which is an AI and machine learning capability to help advise on which integration style would be best for what you're trying to build. On the left, you see there's over 3,200 pre-built integrations in SAP Integration Suite. They have over 250 open connectors and over 350 business events that produce events that can be tracked and managed. And there's a variety of different tools that help you as a developer to consume these. There's the Business Accelerator Hub and advisory methodology tool sets, the industry B2B standards that they publish and make available on the Integration Suite website, business process maps, and more. So these are all available on various hyperscalers. You can access them on Azure Cloud or Google Cloud, in AWS, Alibaba, and SAP's own cloud hosting. This is a quick peek at the interface for the Business Accelerator Hub. So starting with S4, the Business Accelerator Hub has been made available as a web application that's hosted by SAP. And this enables you to discover, explore, and test various SAP and partner APIs that you would have access to. In addition to the APIs, there's further content to consume, such as events and CDS views, adapters, etc. But this is a very useful resource that enables you to not only see what APIs are available, but then, as the bottom image indicates, you can get very specific details on the operations that API supports, the variables that you need to pass to those operations, the payload or the data that you get back as a response from those operations. So if you think back to our initial analogy of a waiter, this is the menu that is made available to you as a consumer. And then when you choose which option that you would like, what you get back is indicated in this documentation in a way that makes it very easy to understand how this would be useful for you and which APIs that you should access. So these are really useful for any companies to connect business processes in SAP across your landscape, to integrate with external systems, as well as to develop your own dependent extensions and custom applications. So when we look at the event architectures in SAP, the image below shows the various types of SAP systems that serve as the event sources or the producers in our original architecture diagram that we looked at. You look at the event infrastructure in between, which is the broker handling of events, and then the consumers on the right. So as you can see on the left, you can produce events out of S4 HANA systems and S4 HANA Cloud. Out of existing SAP ERP systems can produce events. SuccessFactors and SAP Marketing Cloud, their Fieldglass and data intelligence solutions, etc. So all of these can be event sources in your SAP ecosystem. But then using BTP and the integration suite, as I mentioned previously, SAP Event Mesh and Advanced Event Mesh are two of the more prevalent services for configuring BTP to handle these events, to receive notice when events are kicked off, and then do some type of processing against that event, including making them available for the event consumers, which are all kind of listed on the right. And so event consumers can be things like other capabilities in your integration suite, APIs and connectors, things in that you build in SAP extensions, SAP BTP services like workflow and SAP build can consume these events and use them in applications that you construct. They can go back to SAP backends like S/4HANA and S/4HANA Cloud or your ECC environment, et cetera. So there's a variety of ways that these events can be published and then worked upon and then eventually consumed in the SAP ecosystem. This picture is a depiction of using SAP in a hybrid architecture where you are also working with tooling and features of a hyperscaler system, in this case, Microsoft Azure. So in this particular implementation, as you can see on the top, the SAP might be the source of your event triggering. So it might be something, maybe an invoice being received or being paid in S4. And then that event is triggered up and caught in Event Mesh, where it is handled and processed. And then in this case, it's handed over to an Azure Event Grid component, which then has consumers of various Microsoft systems. So you might send a notice into Microsoft Teams and then maybe send the email invoice to the department head of the department that just processed that invoice. And then on the bottom, similarly, you could have something happening in a Microsoft Azure application that triggers an event that is handled by Azure Event Grid. Azure Event Grid could call over to SAP Event Mesh, which is in your SAP ecosystem, which could then place a document or a data element into your SAP backend for further use and consumption by the SAP systems. So as you can see, these capabilities can be leveraged to build pretty interesting solutions that respond to SAP events, but trigger activities on other workflow platforms and application platforms to give you really interesting hybrid scenarios. So now that we've described and defined these events and looked at how they exist in SAP, let's take a look at the value of doing this work. So the value propositions of an API-enabled SAP data system are, some of these are listed here. These are not exhaustive. There are other values that you can find, but these are some of the more prominent ones that are worthy of discussing. So first of all, you have enhanced integration and interoperability. API enabling your data allows for seamless integration with a wide variety of applications that we talked to previously on the last few pages, and systems and platforms. So all of these can be either within your organization or external to your organization. This leads to a more connected and cohesive digital ecosystem that enables data to flow freely and more efficiently across the various business processes that your company uses and subscribes to. Agility and innovation. With this, the APIs empower organizations to adapt quickly to changing business needs and technological advancements. APIs are very commonly accessed and known how to be dealt with by application developers. So by exposing your SAP data through APIs, your business can more easily build new applications and services and functionalities, which helps foster innovation and enables the rapid development of solutions that leverage your existing resources and take advantage of market opportunities that might be short-lived. You can also greatly improve the customer experience. So your API-enabled SAP data can be leveraged to create personalized services or responsive and contextually relevant customer experiences. This allows businesses to deliver tailored services directly to a customer based on their prior history and the products and interactions that are based on their own real-time data, maybe even like where they're geographically located or what action they just did. And this leads to higher customer satisfaction and loyalty, as well as potentially increased sales and a more repeated customer experience. APIs open up opportunities for businesses to monetize their data too. So this can be achieved by offering data-driven services to partners and customers, or even through open API marketplaces that exist. By exposing the certain data sets securely, businesses can create new revenue streams and business models that help them to realize greater sales and lift and grow their business horizontally as well as vertically. You can also increase operational efficiency. So API enabling your SAP data streamlines business operations by automating processes, reducing manual intervention, and minimizing data silos, enabling, again, that frictionless flow of data between different process areas. This leads to improved efficiency because you have less wait time in between different operations. It reduces latency in decision-making because you can operate on the most real-time data and make better decisions. And ultimately, this leads to cost savings. So this slide takes a similar look at event enabling your SAP data. So real-time responsiveness refers to how event-driven architectures allow your SAP systems to react instantly to critical events or changes in the data. This real-time responsiveness is crucial in scenarios where immediate action might be required. So in a manufacturing scenario, in a production line, financial transactions, or supply chain management. Being able to act to real-time events helps your business to respond and make necessary adjustments and either reduce costs or take advantage of a money-making opportunity. Event-driven systems automate processes by triggering actions in response to specific events. And so this helps improve efficiency and automation, reduces manual intervention. It streamlines workflows and minimizes delays between operations, and that results in improved operational efficiency and cost savings. For enhanced scalability and flexibility, event-driven systems are inherently scalable. The technology and the deployment models that these have been built upon have been demonstrated to be immensely scalable and are notoriously good for the flexibility that they provide to your operations. These systems can handle a high volume of events concurrently, making them really well suited for dynamic environments that flex and grow at various times of the year or even during the day as they scale. As your business needs change, event-driven systems can often adapt and scale accordingly, and if they're designed properly, they can scale automatically. We also receive reduced latency and enhanced user experience through event enablement. So by processing events in real time, event-enabled SAP systems significantly reduce latency in decision-making and response times. This leads to a more interactive and responsive user experience in critical areas like e-commerce and gaming and customer support, where the ability to retrieve data and to react to that data can make a very big difference in the customer's experience. And then finally, event enabling your systems provides for better insights and analytics. So event-driven architectures provide a continuous stream of data that can be captured and analyzed in real time. This enables businesses to gain deeper insights into their operations and what's happening right now in those operations, into customer behavior and specifically what customers are doing with your systems and your services right now, and in market trends. And all of this allows for more informed decision making for those who are operating either a retail storefront or a manufacturing environment or a supply chain. So by event enabling all these SAP systems, organizations can generally harness the power of this real-time processing and automation, and that leads to a more agile, efficient, and customer-centric operation. So we'll look at a few business values now associated with that. Essentially, how do these changes that we talked about help you make money or save money? So some of the opportunities to increase your sales and to grow markets include things like having personalized offers and services and products, and making recommendations based on customer history and a variety of different factors that you can find out, similar customers and what they purchased. So these types of affinity decisions. You can make real-time inventory adjustments and order management capabilities that help you to avoid stock out positions. They capture more sales. You have fewer lost sales by having access to real-time information out of your SAP systems. You can monetize your Internet of Things solutions. So if you have access to data that's flowing in from a variety of different sensor positions, you can sell access to that data that gives insight to people. So you might build a weather system that indicates how weather is performing in various markets and translates that into the potential for selling different types of agriculture products or different types of clothing. You could have streamlined sales and processes for your B2B clients, which enables you to have better customer service with those clients, give them a higher level of capability and service, and makes you a preferred destination and a preferred partner for those B2B transactions. And you can provide subscription-based data access, which enables companies to, again, subscribe to data that you own and gives you another revenue stream. On the other side, you can save dollars and be more efficient with your investments by making improved decision-making and resource allocation, understanding the real-time production needs, for example, in a manufacturing line, might help you to optimize the resourcing of which people you deploy to a line, and also maybe even which production you want to use if you've got an option to build several different products. Legacy system integrations and extensions can be save time and money with by API enabling them. And so you instead of having to replace those systems, you can integrate them more easily and extend their usage and their life cycle. You could have faster time to value for new initiatives. And so if you have, if you're able to produce a new manufacturing line in 2 months instead of 4 months, you have a much higher savings in both in the startup time as well as in saving the opportunity cost of the time where you didn't have that product to market. And then you've got minimized data and duplication and data cleansing costs because you're able to keep the data where it resides and just make it available via APIs rather than moving a copy of that data into an environment where it can be retrieved directly from a database, for example. And then finally, process automation and efficiency are ways that companies oftentimes use to save money and become more efficient in their processes. The last thing I want to talk a little bit about is anytime you endeavor to use APIs or event handling, it's useful to really take the time to measure the value of the business change that you're impacting, either the money that you're saving or the money that you're making by producing these APIs and these event-enabled systems. So typically, this process that is laid out here would be one that you follow. You define your clear objectives. Are you looking to cut processing time? Are you looking to increase the customer engagement on your platforms and your digital properties? Are you looking to achieve operational efficiencies in your supply chain, for example? So define very clearly what your objective is with by producing this API or this event-enabled system. And then once you've identified that objective, identify the relevant KPIs for that objective. So that might be resource utilization or the error rates that you observe in your environment or the cost savings that you're attempting to recoup. Once you've identified those KPIs, take baseline measures. This is the before state. So what are you experiencing today? That way you can compare with the results that come later. And then as you implement the system, you want to monitor the process and how it's performing, and collect the data so that you can take that measurement. Once you've collected data on the implemented system, then you're going to calculate the return on investment by comparing your KPIs before and after the activity to measure the value. This could be things like the time saved, labor savings, revenue generated, cost reductions, et cetera. And then you can calculate the ROI on what it costs you to produce this API or this system. And then finally, always take the learnings that you've got and iterate, make any necessary adjustments or improvements that might be indicated to improve your service or your offering, and then refine it and then repeat it again and continue to optimize and see how you can continually increase the ROI of the investment. So that's all I have to talk about today. I want to thank you again and really hope that you learned some things about the business value of API enabling and event enabling your SAP systems. And I would encourage you, with any questions or feedback or thoughts and opportunities for how this could be impactful for you and your organization, please feel reach out to us at mindsetconsulting.com, and my email is provided on the bottom. Thanks again, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.